Welcome people of the World Wide Webs. It's Cypher Sigma, it's the weekend, and as we all know what the weekend is in this video, this is a movie review. So yes, I had the pleasure to go see the new Dev Patel movie, Monkey Man. So yes, this is the new movie by actor and now first time director Dev Patel. This has been labelled as a kind of Indian John Wick movie. Make of that what you will from the trailer, but yes, this is a very interesting story. People who haven't seen the trailer or have seen, Dev Patel plays a character called the Kid. He is basically mixed up in underground fighting, and he is in a part of India. All this was filmed in Indonesia, but he is part of kind of the underground, but not the underground. He's trying to get by, and basically he's trying to work his way up to this big man who kind of runs the police. As you go along, you see the story as this man is related to the death of his mum, and it's kind of a whole vengeance thing that goes on. There is some symbolic stuff, there is a lot of other things going on, but this is the main story of basically Dev Patel's character of kind of evolving, so to speak, and working his way up to trying to get his vengeance, and potentially he gets it at the end. No spoilers here. That is it in a nutshell. There is nothing afterwards. So let's put the spoiler warning up and let's get into it. So yes, so as I said, so the movie starts off, you have Dev Patel's character. He has this monkey face on. He is kind of a underground fighter, and unfortunately he keeps losing. It seems like it's rigged. He is kind of coached by Sharlto Copley, so he's probably the only other big name that is in this from like America and stuff like this, or the American audiences and UK audiences would know Sharlto Copley from obviously like the A-Team of District 9. Movies and stuff like this. He plays a character called Tiger. He basically organises the fights. Dev Patel, he's a good fighter, but he does get his ass kicked quite a lot. And he basically, due to a set of events, sees the woman who runs this hotel where this major kind of head of the police goes. He manages to worm his way into getting a job as a kitchen staff. Calls himself Bobby because he's named after some bleach, which I thought was quite funny, and then befriends one of the lower members of staff in there, and kind of tries to build up to basically assassinate this bloke. Unfortunately, it doesn't go to plan. He is then hunted and believed dead, and then basically he manages to come back from the dead with a load of kind of exiled people in the Indian area, while there is a big political kind of debate going on, and you basically had this bloke who's kind of seen as like the god type thing. The police chief is in league with him, and it kind of then comes round that obviously Dev Patel is obviously, once he's in exile, when he's recovering from his injuries, he kind of finds himself, builds up his prowess in martial arts, and then goes back to claim vengeance, which he does. This is where you see a lot of the kind of John Wick-esque fights, and I try to not use that term because, to be honest, this is his own separate entity, and obviously he does get his ass kicked quite a lot in it. As he comes back, obviously he comes back as the monkey character, and that's why they called him Monkey Man, which I thought was really good. Those fights I've seen, he then dips the head in bleach and it becomes white, and I kind of felt like this is almost could have been a separate, you know, there are a lot of elements here that you could have taken it on, and Dev Patel could be like a monkey character and be like a vigilante, and would have worked really, really well. But anyway, yeah, he dyes the monkey wig blonde or white, then takes it off, and then just basically goes through the building, kicks most people's asses till he gets to the big kind of the vengeance fight, and then he gets to the big boss fight. It looks like he possibly could die. You never really get that answered, and that's where the story is. So what did I think and what did I feel of this? So first of all, I do have to commend Dev Patel. You know, I have seen him from like Skins and stuff. The Last Airbender, not, you know, has been in better movies and stuff like this, but it was a good standout performance for this. I think he did really well. I do like the story overall. There are some religious elements and some stuff which I didn't know worked necessarily as well as they could have done, but not knowing kind of the Indian culture and everything that's involved in that, I'm coming from an outside perspective. So even though I necessarily didn't agree with it or didn't understand it, it's not to say that is a true representation, unless I'm not holding that against him. Obviously, we know were a lot of constraints to them making this movie, and obviously Dev Patel struggled. There was a lot of stuff that was filmed with GoPros and stuff. And then obviously Jordan Peele took it on, and some of the sound was rewritten. I thought the sounds worked really, really well for it. Some of the songs and stuff was more to like modern day, and then some rock and roll and stuff. It fluctuated a lot, the music, which I think worked really well. I must admit, the visuals of this movie, now I've watched a lot of movies, as you will see on this channel, but there were some scenes of like this was Indonesia where it was filmed, and you have like the skyline, and I'm like, this could be like Christopher Nolan's Batman. Some of the scenes in that, there is an area in the hotel, there's like kind of vertical lights, and you see Dev Patel going across there, and there were some really, really beautifully shot scenes on this. And obviously I know Dev Patel's in front of the camera, but he may have been, but some of those scenes were absolutely gorgeous. Not what I was expecting in the slightest. I'm saying, for the most part, most of this movie is really nicely shot. There are a few times of shaky cam, so this is when there's fighting and it's going like this as people are doing it. Sometimes it works. Sometimes when it's a bit of a dark environment, you can't quite see what is going on sometimes, and there were a few little bits like that. Again, it's his directorial debut. It is a renowned method. I'm not really going to hold much against him for that, or even this film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I say it's a very good story. I say there were some elements that didn't bode well, but for a directorial debut, I thought it was absolutely amazing. He hit some of the, you know, as I say, the fact I come over and there were points of it, I was like, that was really, really nice. And, you know, like visually it's nice. And, you know, he's been doing martial arts since a young kid, and he did well. You know, he got a lot of injuries while doing this thing, and it works well within the story. The fact that, I say, it called John Wick, but it isn't, because throughout probably like the first half of the movie, he gets his ass kicked most of the way. When he tries to assassinate the bloke, he does do some good fights, but at the end, he's obviously not the fighter, or not the kind of true believer person he can believe, and it's once him getting almost fatally injured and then kind of coming back and finding himself, he then becomes a bit of a John Wick, and near the end he does it until he gets to the fight with the boss, and then it's kind of backward and forth, and I like that. It was more a kind of realistic type of martial art movie. The element, you know, added in with the Indian elements. Obviously you kind of had a potential love interest, and even though there were like splatterings of there could be, there was nothing ever to kind of clinch that thing, so it was never, it never would have conflicted with his purpose of always getting vengeance for his mum. Throughout it, you get to see a lot of flashback scenes, and most of them worked really well. I would say there were one or two bits where it gets kind of almost 2001 AD, and a few like kind of experimentally like ones where he's on drugs. They were a little weird, little artsy for me, but I understand there was I understood why they were kind of like that, but for me I was a bit like, oh, this is a bit weird. You could have just had, you know, when someone's on drugs and then conk out. But each to their own. It's his vision. I think I'm not sure if he even helped write this, but but I feel like it is a great movie. So for me, I'm going to mark this down as 6.8 out of 10. Now, I know you're probably thinking, you rate this really me. As I said, there was a few elements I thought was a little bit off. I didn't think it was a great movie. I think the whole Monkey Man personification didn't cover too much of it in the movie from what I saw, and obviously with them losing the budget and stuff and the GoPro and the shaky cam, there were some bits like that but brought it down, and there's no point to Dev Patel, and there's no point to the people behind it. They had restraints on it and they did the best with what they could, and what they did is say that, you know, there are a lot of scenes that I remember really, really good. There are fight scenes that are really, really good. You know, the actors and actresses and everybody all worked really, really well. It was very, an almost kind of interesting story of how like somebody is after a gang and how he works there. So there's stuff like Dev Patel's character is called Boy, but then when they ask for his name, he says it's Bobby, and it's obviously to link to a kind of bleach that he's using, and there's little references to that. And I thought there was little subtle bits of like really, really brilliant. You know, it's really nice of how he's kind of disguised himself and fought on his feet, but then they keep referencing back to some of those little bleach bits and that, and I thought it worked really, really well. As I say, there were some political elements and stuff in there which I I don't know too. But I say it's a thoroughly, thoroughly good movie, hands down. I actually look forward to seeing what Dev Patel has in store for his next project. And as I said, I think if he took elements of this and became like a monkey kind of assassin hitman, which I think there is kind of a comic or a cartoon or something of that, you know, but he took some ideas from this film, I think would actually work really well. But anyway, have you seen the film Monkey Man? Let me know in the comments down below. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you want to do, and I shall see you in the next one.